Looking like Michael Strahan.
You been on that liquor too. I can tell you been on that liquor.
Drinks. I'm sorry.
He said Michael Strahan. Everybody, we are.
Now he had margarita before this.
Yeah. I can tell you on that liquor. Yeah, I know somebody's been on that liquor. Yeah, I can tell. It's all good though. It's all good. Everybody, we are live again. Dynast Amir, search for Huru. Thank you so much for joining us. As we always do before we get started, guys, again, as you come into the chat room, hit that like button. Again, hit that like button. Make sure you share the content as well. And also hit that subscription button and that notification bell as well. Make sure you do all of that. Go to dynastamir.com. Again, go to dynastamir.com. While you're there, make sure you get your merchandise. Make sure you grab your books. Also, tours coming up April 21st to the 30th. We will be in Sierra Leone April 21st to the 30th. Hit me up. Go to dynastamir.com. Send me a message. I'm actually in Sierra Leone right now. Tonight is my last night. Then I am heading to Gambia. Then from Gambia, I'm going to Senegal. Then I head back to America. Then I'll be back again first week of January. Hopefully, I'm going to go to Nigeria, but their COVID protocols is kind of, Mark, for me to come to South Africa, like what's the COVID protocols right now? Like, do you have to take a test before you arrive, or do they monitor you once you're there for 14 days? Like, how's it work?
Yeah, actually, right now they relaxed it, but keep in mind that these guys did a wonderful job getting that COVID under control, and they're still battling with it. So we're still under a level of lockdown where masks are compulsory, your hands being washed. You still have to what else? Do the contact tracing, so you constantly give their stuff. But right now, it's open for international travel. So those that are coming from like non-high risk countries can come into come in like normal. People that, like, for example, America, that are high risk right now, they have to do a COVID test and have a negative COVID test 72 hours prior to departure from the U.S.
Yeah, that's how it is coming to Sierra Leone. You have to take a COVID test. No more than 72 hours from departure. Yeah, so that's how it was. That's how it is in America. And then what else, guys? Patreon. Become a monthly Patreon. Patreon.com. Search for Huru. Again, Patreon.com. Search for Huru. Without further ado, we have the real South African with us. Mr. Blanton is on with us. The real South Africa. And today's topic, we're going to be discussing, is South Africa the best fit for Black Americans? Because there's certain basically all the amenities that you have access to in America, you pretty much have access to as soon as you hit the ground in South Africa. Like, you don't have to look for it. Like, you kind of got to do other countries. But like I said, I'm a West African cat, but I know a lot of people, West Africa might not be for you. So I know a lot of people from America, it'll be easier for them to, I guess, assimilate and feel more, I guess, comfortable in South Africa. I've been to South Africa, and South Africa is pretty much America as far as infrastructure and, accommodation. So before we get started, so I know you're watching what's going on in America. I know you're kind of keeping up with that. So it's just, Mark, I think something sinister. Again, I don't want to put on my tinfoil kufi, but I'm going to put on my tinfoil kufi.
Okay.
I know you kind of worked with government. I know there might be some G classified information you might be able to share but can't share. But we're not going to hold you. We're not going to make you. We're not going to do the Chinese torture on you to make you. Tell us what's going on. All right. So number one. So I live in Atlanta. Tyler Perry was giving out turkeys last week. The line was 3 miles long for the turkeys.
Okay.
They're shutting down restaurants again in LA County. And you got people just like, look, we're losing our jobs. We're going to lose our businesses. Mark, what's going on from the outside looking in? Like, what do you think is going on? Like, something's not right.
Wow, that's a very, 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 very loaded question. I think things are changing in the U.S. the establishment can't keep a lid on everything anymore. And I think that the minorities, all the minorities that are in the United States, not just the black people that are in the United States, are kind of saying, hey, you know, we're not going to take it anymore. Unfortunately, the majority own the store right now, and that's why you're seeing people that are actually struggling. You got the Congress but Senate, but the Congress and the Senate can't come up with a stimulus package to keep people afloat and so forth, because I think they're playing a long game. This is going to be a long game. I would also say too that, you know, it's great that our celebrities, you know, come out and do great, wonderful things and so forth. But I think it's even beyond that, in my opinion. So I would say, like,
Yeah.
For example,
Go ahead.
like, for example, you're saying to yourself, you know, you're a West African cat. I'm glad you're a West African cat. I wish, and if anybody get an opportunity to get out of the country, when I say get out, meaning at least form a relationship somewhere else, so you'll have some options, because our people are sitting back with no options. The only option they got is, just like you just said, sitting there in line for 3 hours waiting for Tyler Perry to give you a
Not 3 hours, 3 miles.
Excuse me, 3 miles.
3 miles long, yeah.
Yeah, 3 miles waiting for a turkey. You know, things are going bad. You know, California is like the 7th largest economy in the world if it was by itself. And people are struggling. You know, the rich people are going to continue to get rich. They're going to stay rich. And like I said, we're the product. We're the one that's going to go into these Best Buys and buy all the gear. We're the ones that's going to, you know, keep all that going. And at the way I see it, you know, we ain't going to get no love for that. So they really don't. I'm going to say they personally, it's a long game and they don't care. You know, I kind of remember that one time, what's his name? Kanye West said when, you know, Katrina was flying over, and he just said it. He said they don't care. That's what I see from the outside perspective. And the biggest reason I say that is because I have something to compare it to. I'm here in South Africa. COVID is ravaging the world. The numbers started rising back here in March, and the government kind of cared a little bit. And there are those who suffered. There are those who, I mean, these are people in poverty, but they wore their masks and they helped. Everybody did their part because the government here cared. And at the end of the day, guess what? We're doing okay right now. We just came from a nice restaurant. They're not talking about closing it. People are back at work. You know, it was a little difficult. So I think in the U.S., I just think they don't care anymore.
Hold on. So I'm gonna unmute myself. You keep saying long game. Like when you say long game, like what can you expand on the long game?
Okay, let me just use my story. And you probably have a story as well. And there are those that are just like us that have a story. I didn't come here I didn't get fed up last week and say, oh, you know what, tomorrow I'm moving to Africa and that's it. I didn't do that. What I did was I'm not gonna say I discovered Africa because it was already here, but in 2010, Africa found me, and I didn't try to, you know, Google it to death to find out what it really is. I just actually walked the street. I talked to people. I built a relationship with Africa, and that was like 10 years ago. And over that time, I didn't let that relationship go. It wasn't toxic. It wasn't something that was requiring, you know, way too much to interact with it. It was actually, as we would like to say, it was a good relationship. So I kept it. And then at the same time, I was looking at the relationship I had in the U.S. You know, according to the most people, I mean, I'm doing the most. I got the best jobs. I've owned the biggest businesses. I've done all these different things. So you should just stay here. But I found out that those things were very, very toxic. And I'm being kind. It wasn't easy at all. And then there are those that say, well, you must know how to do business or run business. And I will laugh. We can have that conversation. But at the end of the day, the long game is go to Africa. The cost of living is different everywhere, but your peace is very important. Spend time, spend a week, 2 weeks at a time, 3 weeks somewhere over the years. And trust me, over that period of time, you will get more comfortable with being in Africa, especially being African American, than you will be in the United States. And you grew up there. You went to high school there. Your family's there. Eventually, you will start feeling more comfortable. And I say this to say, we get a lot of calls. We get a lot of people wanting to come to Africa. A lot of people are frustrated because they didn't do their due diligence before. Now, all of a sudden, they want to come, which is fine. And we want to start that process. But you got to understand it's a process.
Let's see here. So, you also brought up, you talked about the long game, but it's just, and you brought up, like our people, them just being very comfortable in America and thinking there's no other opportunity or they can't see themselves anywhere outside of America. And not only that, they like brag and boast about it. Well, they're suffering over there in Africa. They're suffering. The Chinese, the white man, they're suffering. They're suffering. Like, we will be, and I'm just thinking, like, we got to think on an international level because something's not right. Like, I mean, my antennas are really up now. Like, they're really up now. Like, for those who just are comfortable and don't see anything outside of America and think America's just the end game, like, what would be your response to that, especially with what's going on right now? Like, I'm looking at everything's shutting back down. There's no stimulus bill. When I saw that 3 mile long line for a turkey, I'm like, okay, why don't you just go to Kroger and buy a turkey? Unless something is special about these turkeys.
Yeah.
That's telling to me, especially in Atlanta, which is supposed to be the black Mecca. Atlanta's the black Mecca. It's Wakanda. So, like, what would be your response to that?
Well, I would say, I'm here in South Africa. I'm not going to say I'm unknown here. We've been on TV here on the local news channels or the national the news channel because they're asking the same questions like what's going on in America, and they don't understand the dynamics because you got to keep in mind they don't get U.S. civics here. They don't get the government stuff you get in the 10th grade here. They don't get that. So only they get is via the news. And the news has only been running, the U.S. news haven't been running here their entire lives. So they have an idea how it works here in South Africa. They don't understand how it works. So a lot of times when I'm on TV, I break it down for them. I say, look, this is how it works. And they're shocked. They're like, it can't work that way. And I'm like, yes, it actually does work that way. But what I will say is to African Americans, straight up, if you go take a trip, you spend a trip 3 days, 5 days, and you say, okay, it's comfortable, it's easy to get to. I'm going to Mexico. I'm going to sit on the beach in Cancun. Okay, you do that. At the end of the day, what are you going to get out of it? Really, like, what are you really going to get out of it? Nothing. You're just going to went down there. You drunk some drinks that you could have got here probably for less, and so forth. But I would say start now building a relationship with Africa. Like I said, I don't care which country. I would love for you to come to South Africa. I'd love to, show you, host you, let you meet the people, start learning what Ubuntu means, things along those lines. But if you end up in the Congo, my thumb is up. If you end up in Angola, my thumb is up. You need to start building a relationship with Africa. So when things do go bad, things start going sideways, at least you can say, you know what, I'm gonna call my people over in this city in Africa and be there. They will welcome you. So that's why I say, don't, like where I come from. I'm coming from North Carolina. Here's the migration. When you're young, you're like I'm from Fayetteville, North Carolina. So you move from Fayetteville, you move to Raleigh, and then you move from Raleigh, you move to Greensboro. Then you leave from Greensboro, you move to Charlotte. By that time, you're about 40 years old, and then you're like, well, I'm real progressive. I'll move to Atlanta. So now all my friends live in Atlanta, most of them. But it could have been forming a relationship with somewhere in Africa, even if it's Sierra Leone. They could form a relationship, and then they can get comfortable, and then they can come and do commerce, business, do whatever you want in Africa. But it's kind of hard to do that in the U.S.
Shout out to everybody in the chat room again. Please hit the like button. Please hit the like button. Let me ask you this, Mr. Bland.
Yeah, sure.
If they were giving away free turkeys in, we'll say, Johannesburg, do you think there will be cars lined up for 3 miles for these turkeys?
No, I would say they would probably be like, okay, turkey. I mean, they know turkeys. It's not nothing special about a turkey. Honestly, I've been in most of the major restaurants. I rarely see turkey on the menu. Now, if you're giving out some kind of beef or you're giving out some lamb, then yeah, they'll probably line up for that. But turkey's not nothing that's something that's special.
So so cars be lined up for 3 miles for free beef, for free lamb. You think in Johannesburg or?
I would say no, because it's readily available. Food is everywhere. Like for example, when I drive from here to Limpopo, that's an hour drive. I'm probably see 10,000 cows alongside, and farms. I'm going to see farmland. Food is readily available here, so there's no need to line up for stuff. I know it's funny, like when you're dealing with like a proper South African and you start talking about processed food, they start laughing. Like, why would you eat processed food? Because there's you see your food all the time, so there's no need to have a line. I knew I grew up in the U.S. I rarely saw a farm ever, and I traveled the entire country. Here, there's farms. I mean, there's farmers and farms everywhere, and it's not just white farmers. They're here too, but there's also black farmers as well. But we don't talk about that.
Yeah, you're right. We don't talk about the black farmers. And so, guys, again, hit that like button, guys. Please hit that like button. All right, so South Africa, you got to tell people your story for people who are new and might not have heard your story. But if you want to briefly get into the story and why South Africa.
Okay. The short version of it is, again, I wasn't an Africa cat. I was in the military. I was in Germany twice for a total of 5 years. I've traveled. I went all throughout Europe. I went everywhere but Africa. I was like, I'm not going to Africa for what? Because the same reasons why most people don't come down. And then I was U.S. Secret Service for a while. In 2010, we had the World Cup. Joe Biden, he was the vice president of the United States, and people didn't want to come, but they were like, oh well, Mark, he's a black guy, he can go. Okay, so they put me on the list, and I was like, okay, fine, I'll go. And I got down here, and I can be totally honest with you. I got off the plane, and from the moment I got off the plane, they were like, hey, brother, welcome, brother. Probably the same way in Sierra Leone, in other parts of Africa. And what I saw, I literally could not believe what I was seeing. I mean, I'm seeing big buildings. I'm seeing black people doing the most. I'm talking about like doing very well for themselves. And then so I started going back and forth, visiting, because I made friends and I kept visiting. And it got to the point to where I was like, you know what? Here I am. I'm killing myself in my business. I'm working 7 days a week, 12 hours a day at my business. We're making good money, but there's a lot of overhead when you run a business properly. And those who run businesses know that the federal tax man is coming all the time, and not to include the state man and your other taxes that are affiliated with it. So it's a grind. But yeah, I just came here and of course I brought my wife. Fell in love with Africa simply because they treated us well, and we felt better as a human being. We felt better. And so we decided in 2018, 2018, we sold our company. And we hightailed it out of the U.S. before all the COVID, and we set up shop here in South Africa. Keep in mind that it wasn't like we just got up and left. We had friends. We knew where we were going. We spent enough time here. We built that relationship. So that's my story.
What's the importance of building the relationship before you actually go? I think that's key, because a lot of people aren't doing that. And then they get to a certain country in Africa, and then they are like upset and failing and getting scammed. So what's the importance of building that relationship before you go?
Well, like in the U.S., everything is based off your resume. I do this, I do that. I'm a project manager, and I got my master's in this and that. Okay, great. That plays very well in the United States. It really does. Here, you can have all those things. People are going to ask about it. When you mention it, they're like, no, we want to know about you. We want to know what kind of person you are. We want to know, can I trust you with our culture? they want to know about you, and they want to share. And are you willing to accept, the culture that you landed in? You must, like, for example, people think, South Africa is Joburg, Durban, and Cape Town. But like, just like, I know I'm going to a village. Everybody here in Joburg, a lot of them come from villages. Like, their whole dream, and I'm gonna say dream, but their whole goal is to move to Joburg, to work a corporate position. I've heard that a few times. But a lot of these people a lot of South Africans come from villages, and the villages is exactly what you think it is. There's no roads, there's no water. When I say no water, they got to go get it and bring it. And it's cool. That's where grandma lives, and but we're going to go there. We definitely are looking forward to going to a village. We're going to one in the province of Limpopo, in an area called Venda. We're going there over the holiday because I want to experience what it's like being there. So building that relationship is taking yourself out of your comfort zone, going to see how they live. When I say they, I'm going to say us at this point, because we've been here so long. And we can have a deeper understanding of the people that I'm talking to. They want to get to understand you, but you need to try to reach forward and try to understand them as well. And so that's what I mean by building that relationship. Because once you do that, I mean, you're in. Once you understand the cultures, and you can, maybe not understand the language, but you understand what they're doing. And unfortunately, a lot of African Americans don't realize, especially here in South Africa, a lot of the culture is similar to ours. They might call it something else. It might come with a different connotation, but ultimately it's the same in a lot of ways.
Guys, make sure you hit that like button again. Hit that like button. Shout out to Zaranwia Dayin. Best fit is subjective. Well, that's up with a question mark at the end. Just go and see. Shout out to Real South Africa for showing us opportunities to live well in South Africa. So if you can go in and explain what you guys do, what the Real South Africa does in South Africa.
Okay. Well, this is what we do. Obviously, we have a YouTube channel, so we have plenty videos on there of us and me and my wife and others, just having some adventures around South Africa, going to different locations, talking to South Africa. I mean, just a plethora of stuff. So you can go to our channel, The Real South Africa, to get a real deep understanding of what we do here. But what we try to do, we try to be that conduit to South Africa. So we have pretty much decoded everything. If you're talking about coming here on a trip, like a leisure or leisure trip, we can set that up. And like I said, there's obviously we got all the apparatus here. We're part of the tourism mechanism, and we do all the travel, we do all the tourism. So if you come here and you say, you know what, this is what I want to do, we can make it happen. We are deep into it here. The people, the tourism people know who we are, and we know who they are. So we can get you here, and then make sure that when you do get here, everything is sorted. I mean, you're not looking for anything. Everything is good to go. So if you decide to come, you call us and say, you know what, I want to come to South Africa for 6 days. I want to come to Durban. I want to see how they live in Durban. Then we can make your trip great. From the time you get off the plane at King Shaka International Airport, we got cars take you around. You have guides. You have, I mean, some of the best hotels, the eateries you're going to eat. You don't have to be like, oh, I don't eat that kind of food, or you're going to eat this kind of food, because the places that we go, we've been to. We go everywhere. Me and my wife, we go everywhere. And then we have other people as well. There are other African Americans here, and we do rely on their input as well, because they live in these cities. So we just make sure that everybody's good to go. And then, of course, there are those who are looking at relocation. They want to, move outside the U.S. We help with that as well. What we always advise you to come here on a trip, get motivated, and then when you go back, we can assist you with trying to help you get your visas, starting businesses, things along that line, because our company is partnered with Invest SA. Invest SA is like the biggest incubator for businesses. And basically what they want you to do as an African American, come here, start a business. They will help you. They got everything in one-stop shop. And then once you start a business, they already know that you're going to hire South Africans because they people need jobs. Yep.
1 second. So here we go. I think you've addressed this before, but go ahead and address it again. Why leave the West to go back to the West? So, of course, South Africa has this connotation that it's ran by white people. Can you go into detail about that?
Sure, it's very simple. There are white people here. I mean, they settle just like when I go to the United States, there's 60% of the people are Caucasian. There's a bunch of white people in America. And then they expect to come to Africa or South Africa and they think there shouldn't be any. They're here. They're at about 12-13% of the population. They're here. So it's not the West because, like I said, South Africa it's just like saying the U.S. is L.A., New York, and Dallas. There's a lot here. There's 11 different cultures, maybe even more, maybe a few more. 11 different cultures here in South Africa, and I'm talking about the black cultures. They're here in numbers. There's like 60-some% of the people here are black. The entire government. I'm talking about like we get excited because we have a black mayor or a black this or a black that. From what I see, pretty much all the leadership from the top, from the president to the two deputy presidents, all the way down, are black. All of them. Keep in mind they're only a few years out of apartheid, and they're working on that economy. Believe that they're working on that economy fast. They got the government, they got the numbers. They're doing what they got to do. But do they have a past? Of course. But then if you want to look at that past, then I would say look at the United States past and say, wow, we came a long way, and they're on their way as well. And it would be great to have, African Americans to come here and to participate in that process. Because unfortunately, once you get here, you'll realize that you belong, just like you're in Sierra Leone. Right. I mean, I'm sure you feel comfortable. I'm sure you feel like you belong there, and the whole nine. And the same thing applies here.
Absolutely, guys. What we're going to do, we're going to open up the lines. If you guys would like to call in, again, if you'd like to call in, send me an email, uhuru@searchforhuru.com or uhuru@searchforhuru.com. This is the first show we did where we're both on the continent.
Oh, yeah. Welcome.
Yeah. So, like I said, I'm in Sierra Leone. Brother Blatton is in South Africa. So, again, guys, if you'd like to call in, the email is in the chat room. Send me an email. I will send you a link. Again, uhuru@searchforhuru.com, uhuru@searchforhuru.com. Mariposa Brown, shout out to you. Shout out to you, Mariposa Brown. Thank you for joining us. Again, if you'd like to call and ask a question, link is in the chat room. Now, as far as adjusting from relocating from America to South Africa, how was that process?
I would say that, for example, we get people who call and they're, for some odd reason, they think that it's an exact duplicate of what America is because of that same thing. Oh, it's like the West. Actually, there's a lot of things that are different. There are things that you have to learn along the way. The good part about that whole process is that, because you look like this, you're not doing it by yourself. All you got to do is just mention to somebody, hey, I need to do this. And somebody will step up and say, this is what you need to do. So the process, again, it's simple and it's easier once you've been here and you had the opportunity to travel around, maybe come on, 2, 3, 4 trips, figure it out. And then at the same time, there is no chance of you coming here and not leaving with 10 South African friends that are going to contact you all the time. Because that's what happened to me. I came here and I was like, okay, yeah. And he was like, man, let me host you. And I'm like, okay, yeah, that's nice to say. And I was like, okay, I'm back in DC going to work. And he kept emailing me and sending me messages on my phone. Hey, when you coming, when you bring your family. So I did. So every time you come, you're just going to expand your friend base. It's not like people you went to high school with. It's not people you went to college with. It's not people you work with, went to church with. These are people that are going to meet you simply because I'm going to say Mbutu, but they're going to meet you simply because everybody's social, everybody's friendly, and everybody's trying to help everyone. That's what I've noticed. So the transition, it could be smooth if you visit and maybe leave some of that US stuff behind and figure out what they do and accept the help when it's given. That's probably about the best advice I can give you.
Somebody said when you're walking through Mandela Mall, you would think that you're in New York City because of all the Popeye's chicken being sold.
There is Popeye's chicken here. There's Popeye's chicken.
Yeah, but you know what's crazy? Like when I come to Africa, like I'm not trying to eat American. Like I want to eat the local, like South African food. Like I don't.
But here's the problem. Here's the problem. All of our channels, pretty much all of like ABC, CBS, all the channels, the HBOs, the Showtimes, every channel that everything that you're watching in the US, they're watching it over here. Right? Now, are we watching their channels? If I said, are you watching SABC 1, 2, or 3? Are you watching MZMZ Magic? Are you watching Showmax? Are you watching all these different networks? And there's several more. The answer to that question is no. So that's why you don't know anything about South Africa. But if you actually watch the channels, you'll get a real good picture of what South Africa is. And you'll be like, you know what? I like that. I'm going to go ahead and download that Nasty C, which is a rapper here that everybody knows or whatever. But
hold on, bro. Nasty C is trash.
Well, I mean, but there are those who like it. I mean, I'm 51 years old. I mean, I met him. He's a little short guy.
Yeah, I'm not saying he's not a good guy, but you know, okay, you know, let me be nice. I'm sorry. Yeah, I mean,
no.
Yeah.
Let me get off the hook on that one, and let me tell you this. So, what they see on the TV that broadcast over here, they see Popeyes. They see KFC. They see people wearing New York hats. Whatever they see on TV, it gets imprinted right here in South Africa. However, that trust me, that's not the culture. That is not the culture. In the US, that's the culture. We call it that's the culture. Here, that's just something that they do. It's cool because that's what they do in America. It's on the TV. Every channel that they flip to is some level of American TV. And of course, they have the South African TV. But at the end of the day, they get an opportunity to see us through a very small lens, and they try to emulate it sometimes. And so they want to go get them a Popeye's chicken sandwich because they keep hearing about it on our TV in our news, you know. But if I said to people here, well, why don't you go get some pop in the U.S., they'd be like, what are you talking about? Or better yet, some atcha. People in the United States have no idea, but everybody here eats atcha. Well, not everybody, but pretty much everybody.
Guys, hit that like button. I just sent the link out to somebody, so we're waiting for you to call in. Again, I just sent the link out, so we are waiting for you to call in. Again, if you guys would like to call in, email is ahuru@searchforahuru.com. It is in the chat room. ahuru@searchforahuru.com is in the chat room. And guys, once again, we have our tour, Sierra Leone, April 21st to the 30th. If you would like to join us, April 21st through the 30th, Sierra Leone, come and join us. We're going to have an awesome time, you guys, here in Sierra Leone. And again, I sent the link out to somebody. We're just waiting for you to call in. Like I said, because of you, I'm gonna give South Africa another chance. I'm gonna give South Africa another shot.
I'm gonna wink at you, but I'm gonna say I think the South Africans will be happy that you did that. No, but you know what? They got their own thing going on down here. It is absolutely. It's incredible. I mean, like I said, I've traveled all that U.S. I've done it all. If you want to talk about, you know, all the stuff that we do in the U.S., it's nice. Don't get me wrong, but they do it big here. Everything they do, they try to do it big. And like I said again, I'm looking in the comments. People think South Africa is three cities, and it's not. There's several cities. This country is massive, and everywhere is different. There's a lot going on. There's a lot to do. All the jazz artists, all the U.S. artists, when it's wintertime in the U.S., they're over here. Because it's summer. Right now, we're in late spring, getting ready to go into this summertime. You know, it was 85 degrees today. It's getting right on this side. And the more white parties we're going to have, the more get-togethers they're going to have, the more, I mean, it happens all the time. And it's fun. And I like it because I'm invited, not because I get the invite. I like it because I'm Black and I get to go.
Mm-hmm. Go ahead, Darren.
Hey, what's going on, guys? First of all, I appreciate both of you guys, your platform. Dynast, I love your platform, and I'm watching you a lot more, the real South Africa. I've been on a search, and we've been looking more at Ghana and a couple other West African countries. But I'm not gonna lie to you, South Africa, you make it sound attractive. You make it sound attractive. I think because being an African American, sometimes the switchover. If we just want to be honest about it, the switchover. I want to make sure that my family, my wife, is comfortable, and I want them to be able to still have those same experiences as like my son, as far as being able to relate, talk to people, and whatnot. I'm not sure if, to be frank with you, I'm not sure if West Africa is going to be right off rip. It's going to work for us, but we are going to visit. We're going to visit a few African countries. But I did want to ask you a question because I don't know much about it. As far as okay, I'll tell you flat out, we're probably considered your more middle class income. We're both business owners, but we make a pretty good income. What kind of money do we need to live there? I mean, I don't have to live. I'm not the type that has to live rich. I want to just keep it real. I can tell. I know a lot of professionals. You and your wife are obviously professionals. You probably make really good money. Had a great savings. My wife and I, we do okay, and we have a pretty decent savings behind us, and we both run businesses. Now, my business was not an online business, but I'm starting to work more with my wife now, who runs a hair care company that does very well here in the United States, very well. And she's ranked up there with a lot of the big players, and getting bigger as we go. What kind of room is there for somebody like that in South Africa? And back again, what kind of money do we really need?
Okay, it's a very simple question. I know what it takes. You're a business owner, right?
That's right.
And when you pay that payroll tax, it's pretty high, ain't it?
Oh man.
Okay. I don't even want to talk about that. Let's talk about that unemployment tax. Remember that one?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and when you get an employee,
you're in big trouble.
Yeah, and then you get an employee who quits and files a claim against you. Don't your unemployment tax go up?
And you got to keep paying.
And for how long? It goes up for like 2 years, right?
Yeah, close to 2 years. It kind of depends on the state and how long the person will work for you. But that's about right.
2 years. Yeah. And if they're working for someone else and they end up working for you, then you ultimately got to pay a part of their unemployment. It's a mess. My point, So I'm proving so many points to you that at the end of the day, the cost of living in America is very expensive, and I understand people want to, hey, I want to get to that six figure. Once I get to that six figure, I'm going to be set. And I know for me, I was making six figures working for the government plus, and not just me, not including my wife. She was doing the exact same thing, and I can tell you it's difficult. And then when we switched to starting a business, we was like, okay, now we're going to be set, and we were very, very successful. At least to the point to where we were able to go through the whole due diligence process and sell it. And I'm just being honest with you. At the end of the day, when we was doing that, it was stressful. We put a lot of man hours into our company, and that was for 10 full years. With that being said, I wouldn't want to pay another accountant their rate because it's like hiring a lawyer every time you got to go talk to them. As you know, as a business owner, it gets very expensive. What I'm trying to say to you is that here, I'm not saying some of those things don't exist, but this is the wild, wild west. Meaning that a lot of businesses that can be here aren't even here. Let me give you a quick example. I get because of people know who we are. I get pitched a deal for a laundromat. Outside company, they're trying to open up in Africa. Obviously, South Africa is the hub, and they're like, "Hey, you know what? We got this thing called a laundromat that and I know what a laundromat is. We both know what a laundromat is. South Africans don't have laundromats. I'm just using the one thing. They don't have laundromats. What you do is I'm gonna tell you what I do. I'm gonna tell you what I do. Do I wash my clothes? No.
But Mark, in Africa, you can hire somebody for cheap to come pick up your clothes, wash them, and bring them back.
True, exactly. I like that. And as you said, it's cheap. pretty much everything that you're going to do on this side is cheap. And when I say cheap, it's not cheap labor, not cheap work. It's just that's what the market bears here in South Africa. Now, when you start comparing it to the United States of America, I had a person who came once a week to come clean our house. She was expensive. And if I wanted her to wash clothes, it was even more. And the way I saw it as a business owner, if I wasn't spending my time doing menial tasks, I can do the big tasks. I can do the $200 hour task. And, that's a business tip. That's what people should be doing. The small things you shouldn't be worried about. You should be doing the big stuff. My point is, if it's a family of 4, I can honestly say you can live let me see, you probably need to make about in the U.S., especially in Northern Virginia, probably about minimum $150,000 a year to live okay, and that's your family.
Yeah, I can imagine.
It's roughly like that. You can do the same thing for $50,000. You can do the same thing for $50,000, 50 US, and live very well.
So living here now, I'm from where Dynast is. I'm here in Atlanta. I'm in Stone Mountain, Georgia, and here, we live in the modest over $200,000 house, close to 300, but we don't really work. We work a lot of hours. We work a lot of hours for ourselves, just like most of them.
Hey, if I can interject, Bland, a $300,000 house in Stone Mountain, he has about a city block in Stone Mountain. Hey, at least 4,000 square feet. If he has a $300,000 house in Stone Mountain, he's at least 400,000 square feet.
Yeah, well, it's not quite that big, but it's about 3,000 square feet. So it is big. Mm-hmm. But we don't need anything that big anymore, first of all. So we're downsizing because there's only 3 of us now. My 10-year-old son and my wife and I, and my daughters are grown and gone. Yeah. So first of all, we're looking at downsizing. And I mean, and to be frank with you, we own our house. We're free and clear. We don't owe anybody. We can sell and walk away, and probably have a little more savings than the average African American in the United States. So, sure, traveling and going someplace different is probably not going to be as difficult for us as we've found for some. But and then of course, like I said, we have a business, and I was telling my wife, I said I could consider us. We sell black hair care products for women. And my wife is a scientist. So she's formulated all her own products, and like I said, she does really well. And we talked about it. I said, you know what? I said, being that, first of all, Africa, you don't have to look for a customer. Here, you're constantly competing with customers. Yeah, the customers are all over the place. I don't care where you go in Africa. And the raw materials, a lot of them are from Africa. And even if they're not from Africa, the raw materials can be found somewhere on the continent. We found that out plenty of times over and over again. It would just be a matter of sourcing once we get there. But I guess that, you gave me a little insight, because I like to hear that, because it kind of confirms what I've been thinking. I'm like, whatever product we're producing here, we can probably produce 3 or 4 times more there and be able to focus on just selling. And when you know how it is, if you can focus on selling and let everybody else focus on everything else, you can make a fortune.
Yeah. And one thing that you got to realize, especially here in South Africa, like I don't think there's a port of Atlanta. I've been to Atlanta several times.
They don't actually have a port in Atlanta, but they call it the port of Atlanta. Everything comes in through Savannah, Georgia.
Savannah.
Okay. A seaport. No, I'm talking about
they bring it straight in on the train, straight from Savannah. Everything kind of distributes out of Atlanta because of the international airport.
Okay, so like when you say that, so you feel that's to your advantage. I would say it's to your advantage to have the largest port in all of Africa right here in Durban. It's right in Durban. Yeah, and then there's also up down the coast there's East London, there's Richards Bay, and of course there's Cape Town. They do have a train system. I see it all the time, and they have a very vibrant road system. Here as well, probably just as well as the United States. And then also too, they have a trucking system as well. So you have access to different stuff. You have access not to just what's allowed in the U.S. You can actually export whatever you got here if you choose to. Department of Trade and Industry kind of controls that. And through Vest SA, who we deal with on a regular basis, we're a registered company with them. they'd be more than happy to have a conversation with you to assist you in trying to start your own, to bring those products here. And lastly, the market here for Black hair care, there's too many Black women around here. There's just too many. And they're always looking for something. They're always looking for something new, and whatnot. And lastly, and if my South Africans are listening, they'll tell you straight up, because you talk the way you talk, simply because the way you talk, because the way I talk,
yes,
it gives me access.
My wife talks to me about that all the time. She's from Guyana in South America. And she says, believe it or not, she calls it a BA, like a bachelor. She says, you've been away. She said, when you have that accent, she said, it does give you access. She said, it gives you access to any and everything. Turn that stove off for me. Yeah, it gives you access. So I'm definitely looking at that, and I believe it. You know what? I think we're going to have to make that visit, and I'm going to make sure I reach out to you because I do want to. I want to explore that option, and I'm going to tell you right now, because for business, also, I'm a business guy. I've never had a job, so I don't know what it's like to go work for anybody. So I'm not worried about being able to survive anywhere I go in the world, because I've traveled around the United States. I've done business and lived in Mexico with no Spanish-speaking skills at all. So I'm not worried about making money, but I want to make sure wherever I go, I have access to still the U.S. market. I want to be able to get that U.S. dollar. Man, I want to be able to get that European dollar. And sometimes, and Dynast, I'm sure you see this, sometimes some of the West African countries, it takes so much longer to get products shipped. It takes so many more regulations dealing with, I'm sure that's done on purpose. So many more regulations. It doesn't matter what you ship. I need this paperwork. We need that paperwork. Would you see that the same as Dynast? Would you see the same?
It depends on who you know, but as far as shipping, I mean, the infrastructure when it comes to shipping from West Africa to America is horrendous. You know, unless you're shipping just cargo or shipping on a plane, but with South Africa or like Kenya, I mean, it's more dependable if you just go to the post office. But I mean, as far as we're doing it, like in West Africa, you got to do everything cargo on a plane for it to be worth your while. And then even when you do that, they're gonna hit you over the head. So unless you know somebody.
And again, and I will say this: you can imagine the containers that we buy, labels. A lot of that stuff comes directly from China. Even the people we're buying from in the United States, of course, it's coming from China. But I'm thinking in my mind, maybe we'll be a little bit closer, a little more access. Again. It'll probably be a little easier to set up more, just a small manufacturing facility, or if we don't have a bottling company there or a jarring company, small manufacturing facilities, and be able to monitor and control it a little bit more. Here in the United States, I'm going to be frank with you, man. Big business is almost inaccessible at this point. I mean, I'm trying to do big business, and I've been trying all my life. And, most of my friends say, "Oh, Darren, you do good." See, they don't know what good is in my mind. I need to be someplace where I can have some real control in the market and be a real name. I know, I'll just frank with you. I'm never going to be a P&G in the United States, and I may not ever be a P&G in South Africa or Africa either. But I mean, gosh darn it, let me get close. It shouldn't only be 3 Black companies on the shelf in Walmart that are major players for Black hair. It just doesn't even make sense. Hold on,
Darren, I can interject real quick. I mean, the reality is, I'm a West African cat, guys, but West Africa, when it comes to shipping, is behind East Africa and South Africa. It's the reality. It's just the truth. Like, it's behind East Africa and South Africa. West Africa is. Now, depending on who you know, what kind of contacts you have as far as, if you're dealing like with cargo or containers or whatnot, it's a little bit different. But just shipping just your average items or whatnot, or trying to find a cheaper rate, affordable rate. I mean, by far, East Africa and South Africa is definitely, and it's weird because West Africa is closer, but it's more expensive than shipping from East Africa or South Africa. But at the same time, with actually that's for all of Africa with AGOA. So you have African Growth Opportunity Act,
Right.
Pretty much where you can ship things duty free. I think either tax free or duty free, something like that. Business wise, from America to Africa, so you do have that as well. But still, I mean, East Africa and South Africa by far is more as far as shipping. I mean, it's by far killing West Africa right now.
And I'm sure that's not an accident, because there's no reason why you can't ship just as quickly from West Africa. And if we can continue, and when I say we, I'm talking about Americans, if they can continue to make it difficult and only the big players are doing the major shipping with their own airplanes, you're not going to be, it's just too hard to ship shea butter on airplanes by the pallet load. But then you got the big companies like P&G who are somehow walking out with pallets of shea butter, but they're walking out with it on their own cargo plane. So they got to deal with some big car company that we just, the average guy just can't do. And then they come here and process it and put it into every product and sell it to black people.
It's pretty clear the game, and that is a game. I would say again, you're going to need in some ways you're going to need a lot of support, especially from corporate. Here the local government, the municipalities. Like for example, I'm around Kempton Park. I'm here in South Africa, in Johannesburg. That's the manufacturing base, and it's the manufacturing base simply because the airport is right there. Or Tambo Airport is right there. So if you're talking about making something, doing something, or whatever, it doesn't take long to marshal help to get people who are skilled enough to get it done, and whatnot. And everybody knows who's running a business for any length of time. Labor costs is the most expensive stuff. It's more than your commercial property. People think getting a commercial property is like renting an apartment. No, not even close. So you got a storefront. Yeah, that's hard. But your biggest expense is labor. But when your labor cost is cut down, to like 10% of what you normally can do, you can actually get a lot done. Yeah, see, these are things that I know. You got an average person here who's making 8,000 rand a month, which is pretty decent. It's okay, 9,000 rand a month, which I think comes out to roughly about $500-600. And they're happily working for you. But then in the US, you're going to pay somebody $2,000 to $2,500 to do the same job.
To do less, to be honest, because we've had young ladies working with us, and all they're doing is keeping up with a little paperwork here and there. And they need $2,000 to $2,500 a month, and then you still have to let them go because they're not qualified to you to earn $2,500 a month. So
your return on investment isn't. When you do do your ROI calculations, they're a liability at the end of the day. Right. And if you go sit down with your accountant that you paying a couple $100 an hour, they're going to tell you the exact same thing. When you sit down with them, and they're going to say, look, this is where your problem is, right here. And you're going to be like, well, damn, but they're good employees. No, they're not. Because you're paying them too much and you're not bringing in enough. That's what those accountants do, y'all, by the way. That's right. But you can go cheaper by getting you a good bookkeeper. I'm just saying.
Yeah. Man, I appreciate it, man. I'm gonna hold you to it because we are doing some major traveling next year. We've made our decision that we're going to do some major traveling. I tried to downsize on the house, pull the cash out because I don't want to keep it. It's too much maintenance to be talking about renting it and all that kind of good stuff. You're not gonna make enough really renting it. By the time you pay taxes and trying to keep the property up, you're paying property maintenance companies and all that stuff. I said, what? I've done that. I can't do that, man.
And that's no guarantees. Your house can still be tore up. Then you might go through the whole eviction process, which costs more money. We can get into that because I had properties and I got rid of all of them for that exact same reason.
Yeah. So I figured, that money, we might as well use that cash and make it functional. And put, like I said, put some savings aside for it to save some of it and you make it function. Because a friend of mine told me, he said, man, you own that house free and clear. He said, that's just a big old 2x4. Why are you sitting on it? So, hey, I appreciate you guys, and like I said, I'm going to be reaching out to you and the wife, and I've already made that decision. I'm definitely going to make that one of the trips, and I'm glad you brought up the point about the white folks in South Africa, because I've always thought what you said. I said, yeah, they there. I said, and maybe they do control a lot of bigger parts of the economy. I said, but the difference is here in America, the same percentage of white folks that you said are there is the same percentage of black folks here, except here we have no economic power. We really don't have any.
Or government.
Or government. So we're just kind of like
federal, local, and state. No representation. Here,
no representation. Unfortunately, even for the black guys that are in office or the black women in office, like you said, I mean, symbolically, I think it's great that Kamala Harris is in office. Symbolically, sure. I think it's great that President Barack Obama was the president, but symbolically, it's just not going to cut it. It's just not going to cut it. I need to be able to shake hands with somebody in office that can actually make a difference in what's going on in the community and make an actual change without having to beg somebody else for permission to do so.
Yeah, and to add to that, even like for example, a lot of things that people don't realize in the U.S. that the judicial system there in the U.S. it's controlled by the man, and they're passing law. I mean, you see, I turn the president do something, some judge step up and say, "No, you can't do it." So those judges are very powerful. Here in South Africa, I think pretty much I know the Supreme Court is all black. And then, of course, a lot of the judges at the state level, even local level, they're black. And you might want to say, well, it might not be to your advantage. I can tell you this: I've had a white man, Afrikaner guy, who's installing my telecom, which is my Wi-Fi service that I'm using right now to talk to you, make every complaint to me about all the police are black. That isn't fair. All the judges are black. That isn't fair. I don't have any representation. And he sat right here in my house, and he went from top to bottom how, as a white guy, he doesn't have any representation, and he doesn't feel that it's fair. And he's upset because if something happens to him, 10 times out of 10, a black policeman is going to knock on his door and ask him, "How can I help you?" And he's fearful of that. He's extremely fearful of that. And that's what he sat right here in my house and explained this to me. And he felt he can talk to me that way. Not say talk to me bad. He was just being honest. He felt comfortable talking to me because I was African American and I wasn't South African.
I'm liking the way you're talking, and like I said, I'm definitely gonna pay a visit when we as we begin to tour the continent. And we're gonna make sure South Africa is on the list. So we will reach out you and the wife and seeing where we can make some things happen there. And I don't want to promise that's where the spot is going to be, because like you say, you always got to visit. And I can definitely, it makes, to me, financially and business wise, I'll say business wise, if I just have to be totally honest, I love my people all around the world. But when I talk about infrastructures and stuff like that, and like the transportation and shipping and everything else, I need to be someplace where we can make it happen. And so that's important to us. And I have to be honest with myself. And that's important to us. Yeah. And if we don't have that, my wife's not going to be happy. It's just as simple as that. She's not going to be happy because she's doing all this work. And I know she doesn't want to start not complete from scratch. She should be able to go in, formulate, be able to ship stuff, be able to have the access to the products, access to customers. She doesn't want to leave her customers behind because she doesn't have internet access, or internet access is always so spotty, or shipping the product is always going to be extra expensive. So, we're definitely going to pay a visit, and we'll see what the ancestors tell us after that.
Oh, they'll talk to you. It'll start raining when you get here. I mean, they're talking to you.
Hey, Dynast, I appreciate you guys.
All right, let me address something in the chat room real quick. Okay, again, just overall, Truth Matter by Ola Dada. Okay, the shipping system in East Africa and South Africa is much more easier and convenient, all right, and less expensive than West Africa. Again, shipping in East Africa and South Africa is to America. It's much more convenient and easier and less expensive than shipping from West Africa to America. Now, again, obviously, if you're dealing with large quantities, that's one thing. But if you're just trying to get started, just selling a few items here and there coming from West Africa, it's expensive because obviously you have minimums you have to hit. But it makes more sense and is more cost effective if you're doing from East Africa and South Africa to America. That's my point. Again, that's my point. Hopefully that makes sense because you're dealing with somebody that has done stuff like that. So, all right, let's hear. And someone else asked. Somebody else said something. Asked a question in the chat room. The only shot that you really necessarily have to have is the yellow fever shot, and that's if you're traveling between African countries. So if you're going like from Nigeria to Sierra Leone or whatever, they're gonna ask for that yellow fever card. That's been my experience.
Here down in South Africa, you don't. It's not required. They're not part of the malaria zone. So
right, exactly.
Yeah, so there's all you need is a passport and come down here with your good with a good attitude, and pass through customs, and you're here.
What about if we go from South Africa to Namibia? Because I've been from South Africa to Namibia. I think they asked for it. I don't know.
Yeah, because I went to what was that? I went to the other country, Mozambique. Didn't ask for it at all.
Okay. So, all right. Cool. Yeah. There you go. All right. So Truth Matter. If that's the case, then email me your shipping connect. So Truth Matter, do me a favor. Email me your shipping connect in Nigeria. Just if you could just do that for me, Truth Matter, then we'll go from there.
But I will say too, don't let one thing that you heard about an African nation keep you from going to an African nation on a visit. Because, like I said, I think you're doing yourself a disservice because there's enough bad stories about the U.S. that should keep us all out. But we're still there. So I would say if you want to go to an African nation, do a little due diligence. Hopefully you can make a friend online in a chat room or something to that effect. But even if you can't do that, go to an African nation, spend a few days there. You can get to Africa, especially West Africa, just as fast as you can get to Europe. Trust me, those people in Europe, they're not as safe as they want you to believe. And so forth. I lived there for several years, and I will say, if you get an opportunity to go to Africa, even if it's for over a 4-day period, and you're going to anywhere in Africa, go enjoy yourself. You're not going there to do geopolitical type work or to have those conversations. The people around ain't talking about that. They talking about everything else. And that's what you're going to visit. You're going to visit to have that experience. You're not going to come down here to see what Julius Malima's doing. You're not coming down here to see what President Cyril Ramaphosa is doing. You're coming to meet Lovato. You're coming to meet Timba. You're coming to meet Tato. That's who you're coming to meet. That's what you're coming to do. And ultimately, I know here in South Africa, it's ultimately going to end up with you with a cooler, or we call it here a cooler box, with some drinks in a park. And it's late, and you're laughing, and you're having a good time, and of course you're braising your meat, or you're barbecuing your meat. That's what you're coming to Africa to do, to just fellowship, and that's how it works.
Okay, Sugar Boss, I see you trying to come in, but your devices are connecting. You got to connect your mic and your cam before you come in. So that's the technical difficulties on your end. Clement Key just said, Dynast, what you said about shipping is the pure truth. West Africans. Well, like I said, I'm a West African cat, so I don't understand why you're attacking me for telling the truth about shipping from West Africa versus everywhere else. Yeah, I don't understand why you're mad. It's just, again, it's easier to ship from East Africa and South Africa to America than West Africa. It's what it is. No need to attack me for it. It's what it is. But again, if you have a connect, then please put me on. By all means, put me on. All right, Sugar Boss, we can't get you connected. So guys, again, if you want to call, we'll take a couple more callers. Who at searchforwho.com or who at searchforwho.com is the email. I'll say email me and I'll see the link and you can call in. And guys, once again, hit that like button. Again, hit that like button. Somebody says, at Twan Morris, I'm coming to South Africa to find a wife and start a family. I know you married, Mark, but how the honey's out there?
That's the second time you asked me that. My wife's standing right there. She's like,
oh,
right
my
there.
bad. I'm sorry. My bad. I'm sorry, Miss Blatton. I'm sorry.
But I would say you'll be okay. You'll be okay. Hey, you know what? All you need, the guys, my South African friends start laughing. All you need is a VW GTI, and you in. That's all I can tell you.
Oh, who?
A Volkswagen GTI.
Uh-huh.
Yep, they call it. I'm gonna try to say it. Vroom pop, because when they shift gears, it goes vroom pop. They know. Trust me. You driving one of those, they like you.
Right. Yeah. Okay. Well, there it is. There you go. Get you a VW GTI.
A Golf GTI. That's what it's called. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, how much those run? About $7,000, $8,000.
I don't know. I drive something else.
I can't. I don't know. I'm not driving no GT. Yeah, whatever. Yeah, I'm not driving no GT.
Young man's game.
I'm good. Maybe back when I was young. That sounds like something I was driving in high school or college. Yeah, man. Yeah, I'm not driving no VW GTI.
I can't hear you.
No, there's some feedback on my end, so that's why I just when I'm not talking, I mute myself, but then I forget to unmute myself when I start talking. So guys, we'll take a couple more callers. Sugar Boss, something is wrong with your connection. We can't get you connected, so we need to handle that. Like I said, we'll take a couple more callers. We will take a couple more callers of Who and search for Who.com so you can call in and ask your question. And guys, please hit that like button again. Please hit the like button as you come to the chat room. And Sierra Leone, April 21st to the 30th. April 21st through the 30th. Here we go. It's true. I received a package from Amazon in Kenya. Only took a week to receive from the U.S. Yeah, I know what I'm talking about. I know I'm not talking crazy. Like, I know what I'm talking about. So guys, Sierra Leone, April 21st to the 30th. Go to dynastamir.com and send me a message. And again, if you would like to call in Uhuru and search for Uhuru.com. Shout out to College Genesis, who actually linked me up with you, Mr. Blatton. Two African Americans in Africa.
I know that guy.
Yeah. Collar, won't you call in, Collar? If you're free, Collar, go ahead and call in if you're free. Go ahead and email me, Collar, for the link if you'd like to. If you would like to call in. So, what are the future plans for the Real South Africa?
Well, what we want to do, we had I'm not gonna say we were trying to retire a little bit, but we were trying to chill. Then when you start talking to the people here, you start getting close to them. They include you. You start feeling included. You do your thing. So it's very important that tourism is a big thing here. So we assist in expanding the tourism arc to have people coming from the U.S. because the problem is, like I said, there's a bunch of Caucasians coming here, which is fine. We actually enjoy their tourism as well, and they get their money's worth. But I think African Americans need to be coming here as well. They would love to have us here. They would just flip over backwards if we started coming here on a more of a regular basis. So if I can assist in any way and expand our operations to help people get here, and I say that to say, like, we did a partnership with PayPal, and PayPal is assisting people. Like, for example, if somebody says they're coming here, we can set them up with PayPal where they could do a 6 months, interest free, so they can come here. We were able to do that. So we're trying to get rid of all the stereotypes, give everybody every opportunity to come to South Africa, come enjoy themselves, sit on the sand deck over there in Sandton, or go over to Hyde Park, or go spend some time in Houghton Estates, or go up to Pretoria, or go to all these different places and just walk around and just just feel what it is to be part of the majority. So that's our future plans.
All right, so we'll take one more caller. Caller, I just sent you the link. So go ahead and call in. Go ahead and call in, caller. I just sent you the link. And brother who keeps calling me, like, I don't do phone calls. You got to click the link to call in. So if you can't get your whatever you need to download, a driver or whatnot, then you just got to handle that before you could call in. So you could come on. But stop calling me. I'm not going to answer the phone. No offense, but yeah. Caller.
Look at that boy.
Hey, what's going on?
Caller, is that a leather jacket you got on?
Yeah, leather. I got like 4 leather jackets, man. I got like 4 of my collective. You know, I got 4 leather jackets. I want to tell you about how Mark and I met, right? Let me tell you how we met. We were Facebook.
Hey, caller, I was gonna say you're real low. You're real low.
Okay, let me talk. Let me talk closer. Okay. Mark and I met, right? One time was talking on Facebook, right? Then he was telling me he was going to be in southern part of Virginia that day, right? And I just happened to be in downtown Virginia Beach, right? I was out there hanging out, right? And all of a sudden I see a car, like my sister's, a Mercedes. It said M. Blanton on it. I said, what the hell kind of coincidence is this, right? And I said, I got the car. I said, Mark. And he was there with Herbert Hill. And I said, Mark. And he goes, who are you? I go, who you think it is? And he goes, I go, who else would know you like this? He goes, Colin? Man, we had a ball, man. We had a ball. When he was first going to South Africa, right? Remember, he was telling me he was going to open up a toy store, you know? Remember the toy factory, the doll store.
Yep.
Yeah, that was back in 2015, you know? And so I've been following this brother for years. He's a man of integrity, you know. And I said, what we need is more educated, more Black people with business skills and everything. He was just basically telling me how, you know, how the reception he got in South Africa, and they want to hear what he had to say. You know, it was no. It's not like we in America. I don't know whether it's not just racism. This is so much competition in America for everything, and we're saturated with people that got degrees and everything like that. When you go to a country like South Africa and you're African American, you're connected, you could basically rise to the top faster than you would if you are in the United States. And I was inspired by the movie Blacks Without Borders. That's what really set this all off. You know, that was revolutionary. Yeah. And it's so revolutionary that the mainstream media is ignoring this. There's a number of African Americans, brothers just on a minute ago, you know, I was giving him a hard time in the chat room. He's going, you know, more and more African Americans are traveling. I'm planning on traveling in January. Okay. More, and the mainstream media is ignoring this, right? Because they thought that they could say, well, Donald Trump's out of office, everything's go back to normal, go back to sleep. No, this was happening before Obama. This was happening during Obama. It's going to happen during Trump. It's going to happen after Trump. The draw to the continent is strong, you know? Yeah. And like the brother was saying yesterday, get your money up here, travel back and forth, meet with like-minded people, stay positive. I love how Mark Blanton and his wife shared a beautiful life in South Africa. I mean, beautiful a life in South Africa. They're not talking about struggling. They're not really concerned about all the stuff. They keep what's going on in America, but you see them transforming into a beautiful life on the motherland, you know? And forget about and I'm sick of hearing about the whites in South Africa. If you could deal with the whites in America, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. You could deal with the whites in South Africa, because I know, I'm going to tell you right now, I met a lot of white South Africans. To be honest with you, they're not as racist as the whites in America, because they have a history of having this sort of compromise of Black people being a minority, even though they were racist, but it's not the same as America. They're not as dismissive as to Black people. Every white person you see in South Africa got to have Black workers, Black contractors, Black this. They have to be with Black people. You know, it's not like that in America, where a white person can live his whole life and not do a business transaction with a Black person. So don't give me that crap about trying to compare the two. You got whites and South. That's not the same thing. You're in Africa. You're the majority on the continent. So that's what I want to say.
Yep. And let me echo that. You know, like for example, here you are, you're a white person. You want to build a house. You want to do something. They have to interact with the municipality, the government. They got to get approval. A lot of times they have to get approval for a lot of stuff, and sometimes they get disapproved. And I'm not going to say it's fair sometimes, but they same fairness that we don't get. When I walk into the SBA, the Small Business Association, and I don't get that loan, and I did everything right. That happens here with South Africans, white South Africans, and they are. I can honestly tell you. You know, I had a conversation just last night with a business owner, a brother that lives in my neighborhood, South African brother, and we was talking about this just a little bit because we had to move on. But you know, I told him, I said, white people here, or South Africans or Afrikaners, they're very docile in compared to you know, white South Africans. I mean, white Americans. White Americans are, I mean, you know, they don't have to know us. They don't have to, but you know, just like Colin said. Here they have to interact with us, and a lot of times they have to appease, you know, on a regular basis what black men are saying.
Yeah. So using that as a skate. Oh, I can't go to South Africa because of the white. That's a friggin' Negro stalling tactic. You know, they got everybody. Black people got every way to stay back in slavery, stay back in. Dynast, you're muted.
Yeah, my bad, Colin. You're real low, brother. I want people to hear like you're just, you know.
Can you hear me? I don't.
It might be the leather jacket. Might be blocking the leather jacket.
They used to call me when I used to work in the club. We do club security. They used to call. They knew I was different from everybody else. I wasn't really thug. They used to call me the Black Panther parties wear these leather blazers. You know, they used to call me Black Panther style. You know, he said that's a Black Power brother. That's a Black Power brother. That's how he comes. You know, everybody said all the other club security all thugged out and everything. They say, yo, Black Power, Black Power, Black Power brother, Black Power. They used to wear these leather blazers and whatnot, you know, club security. But okay, are you hearing me now? Good, Dynast? I'm talking. Are you?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Go ahead.
So basically, that's what it is and whatnot, you know, and like I said, right now, is I think in the end, the people who think this movement is going to die because they getting rid of Donald Trump, and this is no, it's not, because I mark my words. I'm saying on the show today on Thanksgiving, by May, black people are going to turn on Joe Biden. They're going to turn on all these people. They're going to start saying, where are reparations at? There's actually people who put down loans on cars thinking their reparations check is coming. You know, you got people out there thinking all this stuff like this. You know, Negroes. They think the light bill is not going to be paid. Have to be paid. They think their student loans going to be forgiven. They're thinking all this stuff like this. Like, yeah, we have to do nothing no more and everything. Biden, Trump's out of office. You just made the biggest mistake of your head. All Trump did was give us some time, right? Because Trump left Africa alone. I don't know what the Biden administration plan is for Africa, but I do know that China's coming in collecting debts in countries like Zambia, right? If China has all this power over the Bidens and Biden's pro-China, that means China's going to have a free hand in Southeast Asia. They're going to have a free hand in Africa. Nothing's going to check them. There's no check. There's no balance there, you know? So that's why one thing we have to look forward to. The only thing save Africa is Black America and the black slave descendants and the Black diaspora coming back and using these platforms like this and spreading our message and everything. Let them know that yes, we are a global people. We're not. We're since the world's going global, so are we. You know, so are we. We're going to encapsulate what's going on in Africa, what's going on in Black America. You know, so that's pretty much what I wanted to say. So,
all right, cool, Balakala. Cool, thank you for joining us on this Turkey Day. And see that's why you got that leather jacket. You went to your family. That's the leather jacket you wear on Thanksgiving Day.
I was on my way out the door. You know, when you caught me, said I had the imperial robes of Prince Dynast Amir. Call in. So I had to do my way out the door. You know? Get some turkey. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? I'm kind of hungry. Yeah. I'm ready to hit. Yeah. You know?
Cool.
But you brothers have a happy Thanksgiving, whatever we're celebrating, whatever it is, just be happy. I'm proud of both of you, bro. 2 African Americans in Africa communicating to an African American in America. You know, this is, and we keep this up, man. You know, there's no stopping us, man. I saw the beautiful pictures from Freetown. I didn't know it had. I didn't know Freetown had it like that. I said overlooking the bluffs and the buildings going up and everything. I wish Monrovia was like that. I wish Monrovia was like that. I don't know what's going on in Liberia. I wish Liberia was had infrastructure and building like that. But hey, it is what it is. But Liberia will get there one day. But
it will.
So
all right, for sure.
But I'll talk to y'all later. Take care, Mark.
All right, peace.
Peace.
All right, peace. All right, Mark. We always have this question. This will be the last question that we'll close out. We always have the what about the xenophobia question? Can you address that?
Great question. It's a good question. I would say, I'm here, and my door is like right over there. My front door. I got a lot of doors, and a lot of questions I get now. What's the racism problem in the U.S.? What's going on? Because it's being seen, it's being literally portrayed in the streets, and so I get a lot of South Africans that are literally like, don't go back. What's going on? They don't understand the dynamics. They just see what they see. And so, as far as a lot of South Africans are saying to us is that they had aspirations to go to South, come to America, or go to America, or visit America. A lot of them have changed their trajectory. They're like, nah, I'm not going there. I don't want to get treated that way. Is there? Now, let me tell you a little bit about this xenophobia in reference to, what I just said. Here's the funny part. I just mentioned there's 3 major news networks here, and you never hear anything from those news networks, but you hear from CNN, BBC, all the major Western news organizations. But if you drive over to SABC right now, 1, 2, or 3, especially those news agencies, ENCA and a few others, they have reporters from those Western news agencies. They report what they want to report. They report what they want to report. For example, in Soweto, they literally just did a whole They blocked all the streets because they were having issues with the taxis, and the taxi drivers wasn't getting heard. They felt like they wasn't getting heard, so they blocked all that off, and that was major here. But you never heard about that in the United States. But it really sells when they talk about a xenophobic attack. They do, and I'm not going to sit here and say it doesn't happen, but you got to understand, it's not just South Africans here. Everybody's here. Everybody's here. Everybody from most African nations are here. Not just African Americans. I'm talking about from other African nations. And I'm not going to sit here and say that they don't have issues because of the language, because of the culture issues, because of a lot of issues. No different than LA gangs. They got issues. Or they used to back in the 80s. And some of you guys are not old enough, but they used to talk about that all the time on the TV. Like black people couldn't get along. Black people were getting along in Los Angeles. It's just they was having issues with the gangs. My point is that do xenophobic, we call it xenophobic attacks, do they happen? Yes. Do they happen for the reasons why the white man say they happen? No. There's just a lot of differences between the black people here, and sometimes, not all the time, sometimes there's a flare up. Things happen. There's not. I would say this, just like in the U.S. The Proud Boys or the KKK, they go around and particularly are looking to hurt and injure, black and brown people. Do you have black people here intentionally riding around trying to get other black people? The answer to that question is no. So it do exist. They categorize it as a xenophobic attack because this guy's Nigerian, this guy's South African. They have some cultural differences. They fought in the street. 4 or 5 people got into a fight, and then all of a sudden the white media hears it and they say, "Oh, there's a xenophobic attack. Be careful." And then of course the other part of that is, from a tourism perspective, they don't want you coming down here. They don't want you coming down. All they got to do is say xenophobic attack, and black people start coming, white people start showing up. It's just that simple. They don't want you down here because it is nice. It's beautiful. They don't want us collaborating. They don't want us to work together. They don't want us to fellowship, or as somebody said earlier, I'm coming to get my wife. They don't want you to do that. And so they know what they got to say. Xenophobic attack. And what do? We sit here and we talk about a xenophobic attack. That's what I see. But I've never seen it.
All right, cool, guys. Hit that like button again. Hit that like button. And what we'll do, we'll go ahead and close out. Mr. Bland, anything else you'd like to share in closing, and also tell people how they can reach you and all that good stuff?
Great. Yeah. But no, I would say I'm reading one of the comments and it said that xenophobic attack it isn't real. Of course, it's real. Everything's real. This isn't. No, the days of fake news is over. At least we hope. But like I said, we're the real South Africa. We have a pretty good company here that can assist you from if you decide you want to come to Africa or South Africa. Especially those are the first timers, we can make sure everything works for you. You won't have any issues. We definitely can do that if you're interested in. Okay, I want to get a critical skills visa. I want to retire in South Africa. We do have a program through our visa services. We got immigration specialists that work with us to assist you in getting your visa. Obviously, it's a business, so it's a paid service. But I got the price down as about as low as we can do because I want to give an opportunity for African Americans to come here and work.
Well, hold on, Mark. You charge it for services. You charge it for services. You really don't want Black Americans over there. You charge it for services. It's supposed to be free because
Okay. No, okay. Let me tell you the difference. You can call it. You know what? There's about 20 white companies here in South Africa that will charge you lawyer fees for the exact same thing. Lawyer fees. So you can say, hey, I'm not gonna go with Mark, but I do want to get my critical skills visa. So then you go online, you do a Google search because we all like Google. You pull up a company, Integrate, and you give them a call. You send them an email, and you tell them what you want, and then they're gonna say, okay, this is how much it costs. And I guarantee you it's going to be twice as much. I was able to find people who are sympathetic to our cause and would take less than minimum to do the exact same work. That's what being on the ground full time gets you. We're here full time. So I can find people who, when I sit down with them and say, hey, this is what we're trying to do, be like, oh, well, yeah, I can help you. But, nobody works for free. Nobody.
But you're supposed to work for free. You're supposed to see you ain't a real Pan-African. You ain't real. Right. You charge people because you charge people. You gonna do it for free, brother. You ain't a real brother. You trying to make money off the people, Mark. You trying to make money off the people.
I know. Yeah. And also too, if you want to make a comment about that, you can reach us at our website is therealsouthafrica.com. You crazy boy. Realsouthafrica.com. And then of course, a lot of information, some of the best information is on our YouTube channel. As you see, The Real South Africa, go there, go ahead and like and subscribe there. We're constantly uploading, new content all the time, talking about South Africa, showing you what the real South Africa really is. What the is definitely not going to show you. So that's who we are. So we're The Real South Africa. You can easily find us, like I said, on YouTube. You can go to our website, The Real South Africa, deal with everything we have there. And then when you're ready, go ahead and give us a buzz at info at The Real South Africa, and we can get you here, no problem.
Oh, you know what, Mark? Last question. How's South African Airways doing? Are they?
They are hating life right now. They're on the comeback, probably like on that fifth bailout. And the biggest reason why, the biggest reason why, because they try to employ everybody. I mean, their payroll is massive, and whatnot. And it was a state-run airline. And if you know anything about airlines, sometimes it works because it's state-owned. But the things they need to do entrepreneurially, they can't do. So this time it's going to be privately owned, and a privately owned enterprise could do all. They have a lot more leeway to make money. Like for example, take away your peanuts, things along those lines, to make money, and they have to get their payroll down. But I mean, pretty much everybody, a lot of people work for South African Airways. And so that was their biggest problem. Their payroll was just too heavy.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I was wondering because I know they were talking about, because I know like here in America, because I know they're partner like with United Airlines. United Airlines is taking over a lot of the routes from America to Africa. So like now you could catch United direct from DC to Joburg, which was at one time. I guess I think it still is South Africa Airways route, but I know United is starting to pick up a lot of direct to Africa routes. So
that's all temporary. What we're hearing here is that South African Airways is going to get restructured, and it's going to be a privately owned airline. It's going to be run like a business versus a government agency. Government agency, not good. Private industry, good. And that's what they're planning on doing.
Somebody said, what's SABC cover up?
I don't know.
Yeah, okay. Somebody put that in the chat room.
SABC is South African Broadcasting Channel. It's the TV.
Okay. Oh, okay, gotcha. Okay. All right, cool. So everyone, thank you so much for joining. Again, like, share, subscribe. Make sure you check out the Real South Africa. Go subscribe to their YouTube page as well. Until next time, family, Dynast Amir, search for Huru.
Thank you so much for spending time with us today. If you like what you saw, please subscribe and don't forget to hit the notifications button so you don't miss out on all things The Real South Africa. Thanks again.